Last chapter. You better stay awake. What is the ending?
It's when I get halfway through this.
Well, then just keep it at the top.
Awake, and then sleepy, sleepy, sleepy.
Natsuki and Kinzo confirmed.
Do you want me to read the narration, or you...
Oh, I can do the narration, as doing Erika's voice is hard.
Okay.
After being forced into a marriage she hadn't wanted, Natsuki developed a grudge against the Ushiromiya family and was filled with a desire for revenge. From the trial synopsis, page 3. This might... I'll just keep going.
This isn't an actual person singing, is it? It's like a MIDI keyboard thing, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, they've got singers for other songs like this.
True.
I don't know. Natsuki, also hoping to take revenge for the financial submission her parents' family had been forced into by the Ushiromiyas, schemed to capture the Ushiromiya family's wealth.
I can't actually see her as like the daughter of a Shinto family.
That's because you've only seen her as an Ushiromiya.
Yeah, that's true.
From the trial synopsis, page 4. Knowing that the wealth of the Ushiromiya family was, in practical terms, under Kinzo's personal control, she initiated sexual relations to curry favor with him and managed to ensnare him. From the trial synopsis, page 7, from the Bernkastel docs, page 682.
How many docs does Bernkastel have?
Ugh, too many for court. To curry favor with Kinzo, Natsuki repeatedly imitated Beatrice, the witch of Kinzo's delusions, and engaged in sexual acts.
Oh no, we know what stuff he's into.
Kinzo saw his long-lost mistress in Natsuki and was easily ensnared. Furthermore, by chance, she was sometimes witnessed in this guise by the servants, and this became part of the foundation for the legend of the Golden Witch, or the legend of the witch.
Oh, interesting.
From the trial synopsis, page 8, from presented evidence number 17, from the Bernkastel docs, page 802. However, late at night on October 4th, 1986, Ushiromiya Battler discovered the hidden gold. The relatives were in an uproar, and decided that Battler should succeed the headship, so Natsuki planned the crime. She murdered the children in the so-called cousin room, and tried to frame Battler for the crime. Furthermore, Genji was murdered for opposing this scheme. Later on, Hideyoshi was also murdered. From this point on, she displayed the strong intent to indiscriminately murder all of those involved. From the trial synopsis, page 27, from supplemental materials B, page 61, from the Bernkastel docs, page 1103. The following outlines the details of the crime. Midnight, October 4th, 1986. Natsuki decided to commit the crime. She asked Genji to assist her, but was refused, so she murdered him. She then murdered her husband, Kras, in his own room. From the trial synopsis, page 40. From supplemental materials S, page 8. Bernkastel docs, page 1105. GC Internal Docs, General Affairs, A09, number 9974. Afterwards, she went to the so-called cousin room on the second floor of the guest house, waited for Rosa to join the rest, and killed George, Jessica, Maria, and Rosa. She damaged the necks of the corpses. Afterwards, because there were people in the lounge on the first floor, she waited in an empty room on the second floor. She hid in this empty room until the people in the lounge dispersed and went to bed. Trial synopsis, page 41, supplemental materials S, page 10, to Burn Docs, page 1131, GC Internal Docs, General Affairs, A09, number 9974. The people in the lounge dispersed just after 3 a.m. Natsuki left the empty room and escaped from the guest house. She returned to her personal room, where she met up with Kinzo, who had been hiding there. She stayed there until morning. Kinzo left the room early next morning.
I shake my head at the Kinzo eyes.
And concealed himself somewhere near the guest house. It just seems like a little kid trolling. It's like, hee, I'm gonna go run away. Trial synopsis, page 41. Supplemental materials, S, page 29. Burn docs, page 1200. GC internal docs, General Affairs, A09, number 9974. Afterwards, Kinzo saw his chance and carried off the corpses of the 6 victims one by one, hiding them. Unfortunately, these hidden corpses have not been found. Trial synopsis, page 42. Supplemental materials, S, page 37. GC internal docs, General Affairs, A09, number 9974. Natsuhi, who had failed in her scheme to cast suspicion on Battler, changed her plan to include the murder of all present. Trial synopsis, page 58. Supplemental materials, T, page 19. Burn docs, page 1348. GC internal docs, General Affairs, A09, number 9974. Predicting that one of those present would eventually want to take a rest in a private room, Natsuhi concealed herself inside a closet in one of the guest rooms. At about 1 p.m, she murdered Hideyoshi after he entered that room. Trial synopsis, page 61. Supplemental materials, T, page 26. GC internal docs, General Affairs, A09, number 9974. From the time the others became aware of the incident to the time that they carried Hideyoshi's corpse out, Natsuhi once again concealed herself in the closet. Furthermore, as proof of this, a button from Natsuhi's clothes was found in the closet. Afterwards, she left the closet and tried to return to her room. However, Furuto Erika found and questioned her first, and she confessed to the crime. Trial synopsis, page 63. Supplemental materials, T, page 32. Presented evidence number 26. Burn docs, page 1348. Lambda docs, line 7. GC internal docs, General Affairs, A09, number 9974. Internal docs, first subsection U99, number 0107. GC official notice, number 01724434.
Is GC like Great Court or something like that?
Yeah, probably. Like, I can't remember what Delano called it. It might just be Great Court, yeah. GC official notice, number 01724434. Due to the result of illusion trial number 0147-007982, midnight October 5th, 1986, we announce that the following has been determined. That Ushiomi and Natsuhi did admit to her crime. For 13 months following this announcement, related docs may be pursued at the Great Court Legal Officers, Document Management Center, first subsection. Great Court Deputy Chief, pretty sure it's Delano, who's doing all these notes. Head Inquisitor of Heresy, Delano A. Knox.
Alright. Then let's all assume that I did it, okay? That's what you want me to say, right?
As though she'd given up and decided that it'd be useless to try and talk her way out of this any longer, Aunt Natsuhi screamed that out. It was a sad incident. I wanted to believe that despite the pitiable circumstances that led to her marriage into the Yoshiromiya family, Natsuhi just might have been able to grasp a sliver of happiness together with Uncle Kraus and Jessica. However, by Aunt Natsuhi's own doing, Uncle Kraus, and even her beloved daughter Jessica, had been heartlessly killed. It was even harder to believe that grandfather had been an accomplice and hid the corpses. However, judging by that clear testimony given by several people who knew him, grandfather's mental state for these last few years has been far from what anyone would consider normal. Perhaps possessed by a mad devotion to the mistress he had lost long ago, grandfather might truly have believed that Aunt Natsuhi was a reincarnation of Beatrice.
Why does the portrait sometimes change? Why are there two portraits of
There's
Beatrice?
the OG portrait, and then episode 2 had that other Beatrice portrait.
Like high school Beatrice.
Yeah, I guess. What does it mean? Does it mean anything? Was it just cosplay?
I don't know.
Where is grandfather now? Like Erika had theorized, did he really believe that he could revive Beatrice by carrying out murders following the epitaph? Succumbing to Natsuhi's cajolery? Right now, is he holding some kind of disturbing ceremony with the bodies he carried away?
Are you satisfied now? This what you wanted to make me say, right?
Aunt Natsuhi sobbed as she spoke.
This is your revenge, isn't it? You, the man from 19 years ago.
This man from 19 years ago that Aunt Natsuhi kept mentioning was supposedly someone who had caught her in some sort of trap. However, she had only mentioned that this man from 19 years ago existed, and she most certainly hadn't tried to explain what had happened 19 years ago.
I'm sure that man's underling is one among us here. I'm sure that right now that man is ridiculing me through one of you. Now tell me, are you happy now? Has a bit of that pain and suffering you've endured for 19 years gone away? I finally understand. The reason you've courted me so far is because you wanted to make me acknowledge that, right?
Natsuhi-san, other than us, there's absolutely no one here. Please stop this insanely desperate charade and quit pretending that someone who doesn't exist actually does. Erika laughed mockingly, but as Aunt Natsuhi looked at us, no, she looked at some being behind us, she hung her head and shook. Then she confessed to her sin.
Aww. I was hoping she confessed to her sin would mean I wouldn't have to, rehash all the stuff that she did.
Means you do it all.
I committed murder.
So, you finally acknowledged your crime directly?
No, this is not about what has happened today and yesterday. I will confess to a murder that occurred 19 years ago.
That's just Natsuhi's song. The adults all whispered together, wondering what this was about, because they had never heard about a murder case 19 years ago.
19 years ago, I committed a sin. I couldn't forgive it. That baby.
Baby? Now what are you talking about?
On that day 19 years ago, Father entrusted me with a baby. Since I still couldn't bear a successor on my own, Father told me to adopt a child, and he made me hold a baby that he said had been brought here from an orphanage. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was to me as a woman?
With a mix of conflicting emotions of anger, sadness, regret, and possibly defiance, Aunt Natsuhi confessed. Her humiliation as a woman when she was no longer expected to bear a child, and also the indescribably unpleasant feeling of being made to hold an unfamiliar baby. It caused her great sadness and rage, and before very many nights passed, it ate a hole into her heart. And then I sold my soul to demons! It happened when I went on a walk through the rose garden to the harbor, along with the servant holding the baby. I wanted to be alone, but that female servant holding the baby faithfully followed me everywhere. I was unable to even tell her to stop following me, and therefore unable to escape from the child's crying. That day marked the beginning of 19 long headache-filled years. Then we faced the cliff from across the fence. If by taking that baby and throwing it down onto the rocky beach far below me, I could undo it all, I really did listen to that demon's temptation. Then, for the smallest of moments, I thought of how wonderful it would be if I really could do that, and lent an ear to that temptation. At that time, the servant holding the baby stepped on a large rock, twisted her ankle, and staggered. She leaned against the rough fence, and at that time I thought I heard the fence creak loudly. I told her to look out. I tried to grab her shoulder. No, I shouldn't be so vague. I'll repent. I'll confess. At that moment, I'm sure that as I told her to look out, with both hands, I reached for that servant's shoulder and with a thud, pushed her away hard. The rough fence snapped from the base, and the servant, along with the baby held in her arms, fell down towards the rocky beach below. Even though I remembered that moment vividly,
For some reason I recall a vague and very strange feeling. It almost felt as though instead of falling, the two of them were silently swallowed up into empty space. So I didn't even hear the sound of them crashing to the rocky beach. Now, I'm sure I've heard it. But because I wanted to think that they disappeared, I must have erased that sound from my memory. It was Garp.
And then?
For an instant, I thought it was a dream. I was high enough that I couldn't see the two of them below me just by leaning over. So I didn't know whether their fall or the few seconds before that had actually happened or not. I must have been wishing so strongly that the child would fall that I just had a daydream. Trying to make myself believe this, I hurried back to the rose garden. Then I decided to let the servant take care of the baby, choosing to take a rest alone in the garden. Then Father asked what happened to the baby, and an uproar began over the disappearance of the servant who had been in charge of it. Eventually the broken fence was discovered, and 2 corpses were found at the bottom of the cliff. The child had apparently been here for reasons that couldn't become known, so its existence was hushed up, and the official story was that the servant had had an accident on her own and died. That's right. I stole away 2 innocent lives in one go. As for the poor servant, her family was graciously compensated. Her aged husband, who didn't know the truth, accepted this even though he grieved over the unfortunate accident. Then, just a few years ago, he died of old age, and I confessed the truth over his grave, apologizing. But until this day, I have never apologized to that baby. Yes, that's what you're after, isn't it? So right here, right now, I'll confess to my crime. I, Ushiomi Natsuhi, did 19 years ago pushed you off a cliff and tried to kill you. But you didn't die, did you? You're still alive and you still call me mother. You came to this island and took your revenge on me, didn't you? For these 19 years, you knew that the one who you should have called your mother pushed you off a cliff, and you must have lived a very hate-filled life. And now you've taken everything I've gained since pushing you off that cliff, 18 years of my life, and smashed it all to pieces. I no longer have my beloved husband and daughter, and I've even lost my honor and am being called a murderer. No, I really am a murderer, aren't I? Yes, that's right. It all went according to your plans, and now I'm now regarded as a killer. How is that? Is this enough for your revenge? My husband and daughter have been killed. I've been made to look like a murderer, like an adulteress even, after seeing me living in disgrace like this. Are you satisfied? Yes, I will bet you're satisfied, quite satisfied, because my family, my honor, everything has been stolen from me.
After all this, do you still claim that you were framed? Seriously, you just don't know when to give up.
Can you hear me? You, the cursed child from 19 years ago. Are you satisfied now? You've stolen everything from me now. What else could you want? Please, just forgive me.
It's useless, isn't it? Battler-san, did you say something? It's all useless.
Battler-kun?
Yeah, it's useless, isn't it? It's all useless. Ah! It's all useless.
died before the game start time.
That's true.
Oh. So we didn't get through all the Twilights then.
No, that's why it says alive at the time of the game's suspension. Because they called the trial before the entire game was finished, essentially.
Run it again. He's just Shannon Cannon. No last names.
Gertrude. I always forget Cornelia's name.
Leviathan, Satan, Belphegor, Mammon,
Stop.
Beelzebub.
Stop. Trying to
Asmodeus.
summon demons into my room.
Chiesta 00, Chiesta 410, Chiesta 45.
All
of the goats.
As usual.
And
Ready?
the sea.
Are you ready for the mess with your eyes when it stops?
Oh.
Ah!
Was that Piggy?
No, it was... Done. What was useless? What was all useless?
Just
Tell
him
us
wanting
about
to
one.
believe in other people. No, she didn't kill them. Oh, but she killed someone else and a baby. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Do you have an explanation for how you think things went?
No, not really.
Who do you think? Oh. No, not really. Can you come up with anything?
Well, I've already said, like, I questioned whether Ava had something to do with it, and there was a big conspiracy because a lot of the arguments were based over the fact that the rooms were sealed, and that was the evidence. It just doesn't feel like complete. They're like, it's perfect, but I feel like it's also flawed at the same time.
It's kind of perfect.
Really?
You remember how they explained the seals?
Yeah, because it had our signatures written all over it.
Had the signatures, but it was packing tape,
Yeah.
and it was like slightly cut, so that if someone opened the door, it'd easily peel
Yeah.
or it'd rip, and then like once that's ripped, you can tell whether it's been opened.
Yeah, but...
And you can't like return it back to normal, like the receipt where you could just put it back in the door.
Yeah, but I just feel like Ava, what if she was really good at forging signatures, or what if Erica did extras? Like, we don't know that information.
Like extras? What do you mean by extras?
Extra stuff, gave it to Ava.
She climbed on the windows of the mansion and sealed all the windows. Listened to the battler breathing.
That's right,
all
she was
morning.
the spider. I'll have to see if I can do some Erica edits of the Erica dog and Erica spider.
When we go into
Erica in her swimsuit.
in the fighting game, that's one of her attacks. Where it shows her like crawling on the mansion. It's pretty funny.
It's like just not a really weird image and makes it very creepy.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Should be obvious why I like this character.
Because she's weird?
She's a troll.
She's just mean.
She's like the character everyone loves to hate. Like,
well, I can understand why they want to do that.
Like, she's pretty popular, even though she's like a hateable character. Like, people like her because she's so hateable. It's like, yeah. Like, I like Angie and Maria for like deep, meaningful reasons. And then I just like Erica as my favorite because Erica.
Because she's a troll.
It's just Erica. Alright, so Yeah, I'm pretty sure the tea party is not that extensive. But the question mark probably go for like an hour or two, maybe.
Okay.
Trying to think. Do you think this man from 19 years ago is real?
On the screen?
Do you think they...
On the screen? I think, okay, this is what I think of the people from 19 years ago. If we're going by logic, then the man from 19 years ago should have died, and we know that Lambda Delta has owned up to playing voice tricks. Oh, no, that's counterproductive because she's magic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to say he shouldn't exist. It could all just be, like, if you're going with logic and saying that Natsuki's delusional, it just could be another delusion.
Well, supposedly Genji talked to him. He was the one who passed the phone on to her every time. He was like, hey, this guy called again.
Isn't Genji conveniently dead?
Yes.
He wasn't there to testify.
But Natsuki didn't kill him. We know that.
Yeah. Well, apparently Natsuki didn't kill Hideyoshi either.
Natsuki is apparently not the culprit at all.
I was thinking too, though, like, if they were going to go the magic route, it could be that Garp, like, transported two of them, and they'll bring them back or something, I don't know.
Well, it was decided that Natsuki was the culprit. But we know that she's not the culprit. And everyone has alibis.
But they've said the baby was there for special circumstances. Could the baby be another child of Kinzo?
We don't know. It hasn't been told to us.
But we might find out more about the baby.
Possibly. Going forward, maybe.
Yeah.
But if... I don't know. It's hard.
Could it be another Battler? Battler 2?
Is Battler the baby? I don't know.
Oh.
Although Battlers are, I think, 18 years old. The man from 19 years ago.
Yeah.
Though that point of that is like... They don't necessarily have to be 19 years old. It could just be someone going by that guise who's not 19.
Yeah. They could have just told Battler he was a year younger.
Yeah, someone could have
was.
just told Battler and he could have just done it.
Because you had the whole thing about Battler's mum not actually being his mum.
Yeah.
And that was proved with the Red Truth. It seemed really weird that they did that.
Although we know, wasn't it stated in Red that it was said that Battler was either Rudolph's son or Kinzo's grandchild. One of those was stated in Red. I can't remember which one. Maybe both. I don't know.
I can't see him coming from any of the women, any of the sisters. Ava's too proud. And Rosa
would have been too young.
Yeah. But Anji's got the same coloured hair, so wouldn't it be Hideyoshi's child?
Hideyoshi?
Oh, why am I getting them?
Rudolph.
Rudolph was what I meant to say. I say Hideyoshi and the picture of Rudolph comes up in my mind for some reason.
Were you going... Were you going by the logic that Rudolph was, slept with one of his sisters?
No!
That's what it seemed like you were saying.
No. I said I can't see the sisters having a child and giving them up. Because Ava was too proud. If it was a girl, maybe I could see Ava doing that. But she had George, and like she
You
had a
can't
son.
see Rosa giving up Maria.
But Rosa would have been too young at the time. Because didn't Rosa have a similar incident with someone?
Rosa
Yeah.
had a boyfriend who promised he would stick around, and then when she gave birth, or when she was about to give birth, he disappeared. Took a bunch of money.
Yeah, sounds about right. So it would have to be either Kraus or Rudolph. Wait, there's only 2 boys and 2 girls, isn't there?
Yeah, 2 boys, 2 girls. 3 marriages and 1 single.
Yeah.
Does the... I mean, like, 19th... 19th man, what do you call it? Man from 19 years ago might not even exist. It could just be
X-Men.
Could just be someone found out about it and yeah.
But it would have to be, like, it could even be one of the servants then. But it seems like there was only 2 servants, well, 3 technically. Well, no. 2 servants and you've got Dr. Nanjo, who doesn't count as a servant, really.
Do you mean who is there on the island at the time of the crime? Or when the baby was around?
When the baby was around. So Dr. Nanjo probably would have had some know of it, and so would Kumasawa. She would have been around. And
Kumasawa's an older one. Genji's a long time.
Yeah.
Nanjo's a long time friend.
so the 3 of them would have some knowledge of that.
Probably. I think. There was a servant who died.
Do you reckon Shannon would have picked up or found out anything about that? Maybe she came in to replace the servant that died. Because she was there as a child.
Shannon. Be a servant that young, you reckon?
Well, they said that they brought them in young. Because she's already young as a servant. So I think they used to play with them.
Yeah, it's possible, I guess.
Yeah.
I had a thought. I was trying to think. I was about to say. I can't remember. What was it? No, it's gone. It's gone.
I don't know. That's my thoughts on like the 19th person.
Man from 19 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, they said it was a man from 19 years ago.
Do you think Natsuki would remember? Or I guess it seemed to make a big impact on her life. Did she know the sex of the baby?
I would assume so.
Because if the baby was a girl, then a man from 19 years ago is not really...
Well, she's not really questioning it when
Yeah.
Well, she called him the man of 19 years ago, so...
Yeah. No, she didn't call him the baby of 19 years ago.
Yeah, she said men, specifically. I don't know if the person themselves actually called themselves the man from 19 years ago.
Didn't they just call
No,
themselves...
they said they were her son.
Her son, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So... Yeah, that's one thing. So you don't have any idea who could have done it then? If everyone has an alibi, apart from Natsuki.
I still think Ava's sketchy.
You think Ava's sketchy? You think Ava killed George?
Yeah, that's actually...
And
yeah.
Hideyoshi?
Well, it's like saying, do you think Natsuki killed her husband and her daughter?
Oh yeah, but she had a grudge for years, remember?
But so does Ava!
No. Ava is like just as prideful as Natsuki.
Yes, but she's got a big grudge against Kinzo.
No, she doesn't. She respects Kinzo, even though they didn't have the most, greatest relationship. She still respected him and wanted to succeed him and prove her worth to him. And she saw, like, giving birth to George first as, like, a potential, you know.
So, do you think that Natsuki actually, like, hated the Ushiromiya family and hated her husband?
Well, to begin with, I would probably assume so, yeah.
I think
According to her
definitely,
diaries.
yeah, I think from the beginning, yes. But I don't know if I can see her holding on to those feelings for however many years that was.
I'm just trying
Would
to...
have been more than 19 years, so it would have been like at least
Yeah.
20, 21, depending on how long they've been trying to.
Just trying to remember
have
how
children.
long, oh my gosh, everything's just leaving my brain.
Because, yeah, 19 plus years, that's a long time to
Yeah.
be angry.
No, I'm trying to remember, if we know when she started, having those delusions with Kinzo. Because if they happened after his death, that's one thing, and if they happened before his death, that's another thing.
Well, we have no way of proving they started before his death, though.
Yeah. I would assume they happened after he died.
Yeah, I would too.
Because, like, yeah. I think that's what what the scenes at the start were meant to show us. That once he died, she started, like...
Talking to herself.
Yeah. Now that the physical being Kinzo, who wouldn't show her any respect or say hello or look her in the eyes, died, she could do whatever she wanted with the image of that person in her head. So she turned him into a catalyst to make her hang in there, I guess you could say, like persist and be more confident.
Just should have got her gun out.
Didn't end well for her the first time, so I don't know.
I've got a gun!
Alright, I would say a theory, but I'll leave it for that.
Say it!
No.
Say it!
I'll leave it for later.
You won't remember later. That's why you should just say it now.
No, I'll remember. Alright, we'll leave it there then. Next up, we've got the tea party, which shouldn't be too long, and then we've got the question marks, which will be long.
Which will be long.
It will be long. But, until then, see you next time.